This is the Washington Street Mall. It is June 2018 and there are all kinds of fun changes. Right now we are at the Perry Street end. It's Congress Hall in the background, Victorian Motel. Prior to urban renewal, that was the site of the Elbron Hotel, Moon's Drug Store. The Pink House used to actually be right over there, and Congress Garage. Lots of change. The Clinton Hotel's been around for quite a long time, and here's our first big change on the mall. This building, the old a la carte, and it was That's Amore, and I am totally losing Cucina Rosa. How could I forget the Clemens' famous Cucina Rosa restaurant? It's been purchased, and a beautiful brick facade has been put on. It really looks sharp, and it's set out among the others. Really looks nice. Of course, all these buildings were built in 1977. The original Victorian structure that was here burned down in a terrible fire around Christmas time in 1976. Heck of a fire, and some of Cape May's finest firefighters kept it from taking down the whole mall. One fell off a ladder, injured himself pretty badly. It was a heck of a thing. Very icy cold, and as always, they got the job done and saved them all. Let's take a look at what else is new here. This building when I was a kid was Tiki's Treasures right there, and a jewelry store next door. Now it's Victorious. They do a fantastic job in there. Yeah, mini mall here. Back in the day there was a movie theater here, and then that movie theater was turned into all kinds of things. A dance club, bowling alley, and eventually it was knocked down. And Uncle Charlie's has been a staple for I don't know how many years, along with Import Bazaar. Across the street is another big staple, or I should say across the walkway. It's not a street anymore. That changed in 1970. The first mall opened in 1971. That had cobblestones and cement and a bit of a different layout. It was renovated in the mid to late 2000s. I believe it was 2008. Sweet Things has been around for quite a long time, and is making waves in Madamsport. Madamsport's another long-time store. Folks who remember Laura's Fudge back in the day. Keep walking. That building, that'll bring back some memories to a lot of folks. Some remember it as a Shire, some remember it as a shore bar. It was a very different scene at night there than it is today. Great food too. Like most every other bar down here in Cape May, well actually every other, I can't think of one that isn't excellent restaurant too and has great food. This is the Whale's Tail, Chuck and Hillary Pritchard. They have been around for almost as long as the mall, and easily one of the most popular stores in Cape May. As is Bath Time right there. I love it. They'll even make your own signature scent. In the back of the store they have all these kinds of concoctions, and they can do some really neat stuff. Dairy Queen's been around for quite a while, and right next to it is Tish's. Tish's was originally in the old solarium on the promenade. That solarium has been knocked down, and Tish's took the place of Stumpo's. Stumpo's was very popular here for many, many years, and Rosemary Stumpo retired. Well-earned retirement. Speaking of retirement, Mr. Morrow retired several years ago, and family members took over both this location and the one on the mall, and then they too retired. Now Will Riccio owns it, and it is the Sweet House. He has done an awesome job of combining the original Morrow's chocolates and stuff that they sold there, and with some really neat signature stuff done by a chocolatier from Brooklyn. A tremendous gummy selection of candies, my kids tell me. have going on up here. Lynn Arden's. The original Lynn Arden's building was demolished when this mall was renovated in 2008, and this new building was constructed. The original building was in pretty rough shape. They didn't have much of a choice. But Lynn Arden's has sold the store, and the children of the owners have actually opened up their own place in Washington Street Commons, which is near the Acme, and this is going to become a jewelry store. It's already undergone some beautiful renovation, or restoration I should say, work. I don't know if you call it restoration, maybe just a makeover, we'll say. Frollinger's across the street. Easily the biggest saltwater taffy collection that you can find here in Cape May. Virtually any flavor you want they have, and they have some really nice chocolates too. As you can see, even in June, the flowers are still getting planted, and everything is just beautiful down here. We're gonna cross Jackson Street and hopefully not get hit. Before we do, that building right there, when I was a kid it was Harvey's, and then it became the Jackson Mountain Cafe. Now it is Delaney's, and they serve Irish fare there along with some traditional Cape May standards. These buildings on the north side of this middle block of the mall are almost all newer construction done during urban renewal. The original Victorian buildings were knocked down many years ago and replaced with more modern structures. There was a lot of housing here and some really neat stuff, a barber shop, pool hall, just traditional small town Americana shops. And then those buildings themselves were knocked down during urban renewal, and these Victorian replicas were built. See a kind of mansard roof on there and some gingerbread up there. One of the neat things that has changed, when this building right here, which is Beach Bums, Cape May Beach Bums, was built, it had just a flat front facade. There were no windows there, and it was flashing yellow in recent years, just a bright yellow. Boy, it looks real classy, real nice right now. Henry's has been around in Cape May for, well, it says right there, since 1972. A very popular store for a good reason, the same as Casales. Casales has been around for many years. Across the street, it looks like renovations are underway at the Cape May Fish Market. This is another location that's housed many different popular stores over the years, and at one point was a bar downstairs and a restaurant housing upstairs. One of my favorite stores on the mall, Love the Cook, owned by the Craig family, who also owns Lucky Bones, the Washington Inn, and several other things around Cape May. This building right here is Great White Shark. Long-time visitors and Cape May locals will remember it as Royal Pizza. That is where the famed Royal Pizza used to be. Ah, the memories. This is an information booth in the middle. Just keep walking. One change this year here is Coffee Time. They had a location down on the beachfront, still have it actually, they just added a second location here on the mall, and Jesse Lambert and his wife just do great stuff in there. They have tremendous pastries, and their coffee is, wow. I have to try and stay impartial here, but let's just say that's where I get my coffee. They're a Magic Brain are my personal favorites, but Avalon and the others are also very good. This building is a city center mall. It's an indoor mini mall, and it was developed by Harry Hirsch, the father of Joe and Larry Hirsch of the Montreal Beach Resort. The building itself, there was originally a brick office building here, and Harry added on to it and expanded it to create this building. It's a fun place. Inside there is an elevator and an escalator for people like me who have a bit of a harder time getting around. But there's all kinds of fun stuff in there, from the cigar shop, there's some clothing stores, a leather store. There's a toy store right here in the front. Lots of fun stuff. Keep moving. Down there is Khan's Ugly Mug. Well, it was Khan's Ugly Mug. Then the Ransom zoned it. And now the new owners, not new, they've owned it for several years, but they're the same owners of a couple other really popular restaurants on the mall, and they do a tremendous job. Ugly Mug is still one of Cape May's most popular restaurants, and for good reason. This green building right here, Lace Silhouette. Lace has been here for many years, but I'll always remember it as Central Pharmacy. This is a true Victorian building, one of the few on this block, at least the north side, that has remained. Bill Thawley was the last pharmacist before the building was sold and changed. It's the Ugly Mug again. Some cyclists here. Across the street is Stewart's Root Beer. That was originally built as Merchants National Bank, and then it became another bank. For many years it was a bookstore, Atlantic Books. I did some book signings in there. The original vault is still in the building. And across the street is Dellis. Dellis 5 and 10. Many years ago this was the home restaurant. I've only ever known it as Dellis. And I have some tremendous memories of the original Dellis store. The Dellis family has their real estate business in the back, started by Mr. Dellis and his wife, and they've passed on, but their family has continued both the real estate and the store, and really carried on that legacy well. Across the street is Just for Laughs and Kaleidoscope, owned by the Tischlers. Two really fun stores. Kaleidoscope just has some really beautiful clothes, and Just for Laughs, I challenge you to go into that store and not burst out laughing. They have some of the funniest clothing, hats, books, all kinds of neat stuff. Seriously, it's a fun place. This, it's a bittersweet sight for me for a couple reasons. What's now known as Liberty Way was originally the site of Liberty Theater, and the Liberty Theater operated with that theater down on the first block of the mall, back in the days when this was Washington Street, and then they both became their own separate entities, and towards the end of Liberty Theater's life it was a strip mall. That's what I remember the best. The wind's kicking up a little. When it was a strip mall, there were things in there like the Fruit Nook, the Cookie Nook, Zoo Company. And speaking of the Cookie Nook, this yellow building right here on the corner, the owners of the Cookie Nook went on to create the Lemon Tree right there. Decades of memories were made here at the Lemon Tree before they retired, though their son Corey has carried on the family business in a sort of way. He's created Naughty Distillery in North Cape May, and I don't partake anymore in alcohol, but I have heard nothing but really good things about them. Check it out. Here's a difficult choice. Do we go this way for fudge or this way for toys and cores? Maybe we do both. Let's go this way first. This toy store has been all kinds of different things over the years, but it's been the toy store for, I'd say, at least the past decade. And the same with Coors next door. And both unbelievably popular and crowded at night. You don't want to miss them when you're here. Galvanic. I remember when this building was painted black with the gray on the outside, and some folks were up in arms, others loved it. My personal opinion is it looks really sharp. It sticks out from the other buildings on the mall. It's distinctive. You can't miss it. I think it's really neat looking. That building right there, what's now Colors. That was Kelty's News. They had books, magazines, and we spent many hours just in there looking through the books, looking through the magazines, and fun memories. Across the street, the Fudge Kitchen. I'll tell you, the Fudge Kitchen is just a local legend. They've been around forever, and Joe and Paul Bogle created it when they were teenagers. Now they've got, I don't know how many different locations. They've been featured on the Food Network, and they have a perennial daily special, and I can quote it to you. If you buy 2 pounds of our oh my gosh, am I gonna get it wrong? 2 pounds of our creamy fudge, you get 1 pound of our homemade saltwater taffy free. And between us, both the taffy and the fudge are pretty darn good. Well, they're actually better than that, but I'd try and keep the profanity to a minimum at this tour. Here's a cotton company. And coming down this way, we see Akamiya. Akamiya, that is the site of what used to be Coke's. Coke's was a really popular bakery and restaurant, and when I was a kid, they had these elephant ears, they were called. Elephant ears are a kind of pastry that are wrapped around, and sometimes with the cinnamon and sugar. Oh, they're good. My dad used to walk with me in the mornings, and we'd come up here. And in the early 80s, Michel Gras purchased it. He's a classically trained French baker and opened La Patisserie. It was another great place. La Patisserie continued with the elephant ears and added even more baked goods and pastries to the lineup. I do miss that. Though Michel's around, then he opened a new bakery called Chez Michel in West Cape, Maine. That opened this year. This beautiful church is the Star of the Sea. And believe it or not, it started out as a much smaller wooden building. And if you believe that, the truth of that is the building was originally located right there. It was picked up and moved across the street. Then in the early 20th century, this gorgeous edifice was built. Now, I'm not Catholic, but I've attended several services there over the years, and the inside of this church is gorgeous. The services are uplifting. It's a wonderful experience, and I would recommend it to everyone. There is the car that they're auctioning this year. There's an annual fundraiser each year where they auction off a car, well, raffle it is a better word, and it raises a good amount of money to help with the upkeep of the church. That garden next door is where the parsonage used to be. It was the parsonage where the pastor lived, right here next to the church. On the other side, Winterwood. Winterwood is a fun store. It's Christmas all year round at Winterwood, and right below it is a place on earth. They say out of this world bath products on the sign. Canyon Allen is the proprietor of a place on earth, and I really can't say enough about him. I love his soaps. They're all homemade, organic, but he does bath bombs and all kinds of other bath products. When my little girl was first born, well, she's not my little girl anymore, she's 9 now, but we talked to him, and I wanted to get something, a kind of moisturizer for her, but I didn't want to use a commercial product, so Canyon created this kind of new, completely hypoallergenic and safe for babies, this cream, and it was, we loved it. And then we asked him to do it again with my son Leo, and he created it again, and now it's actually one of the products that is regularly sold down there. Between us, the original scent was a lavender lemongrass, again hypoallergenic. Winterwood's building was originally the New Jersey Trust and Safe Deposit Company. It was a bank. At one point it was City Hall, and then a Victorian museum, or I should say a museum of Victoriana. Now, Winterwood. This is the MAC information booth. It's also where you can purchase your tickets. and get all kinds of information, not just on the Mid-Atlantic Center for the Arts and Humanities, but on Cape May as a whole. The information booth is an old guard tower that was moved here from another location, and I really don't want to go into the story of it because it's a sad one. But MAC doesn't just save buildings in Cape May. This structure was going to be demolished, and it has a very special link to Cape May. One of Cape May's sons was killed in that building. And again, I won't go into the details, but now it's been given a new use, and it's brought a lot of joy and happiness to millions of visitors to Cape May and locals who volunteer there year after year. Across the street is Victorian Towers. On that site were so many different buildings prior to urban renewal. Now Victorian Towers is a retirement community run through the Catholic Church, and this year it's gotten this gorgeous facade with the green wooden siding and the white accents. Really looks sharp. Up until now it had this kind of brown brick, like a brownish gold colored brick, and they've really gone out of their way to make it nice and to fit into the Cape May landscape. It looks gorgeous. And right here is where the MAC trolleys will come if you're ever going to take a trolley tour with the Mid-Atlantic Center for the Arts and Humanities. The trolley will meet you right there. Just as right across the street over there is where Chantel and the Cape May Carriage Company will meet you with their horses and carriages. And that is that's Victorian Commons, or Cape May Commons, or Washington Commons. It goes by many different names, but there's a lot of fun stores there as well. So this has been our June 2018 Cool Cape May tour of the Washington Street Mall. This mall is well, it's home to many special memories for a whole lot of people, and the city has done a great job of preserving it and updating it and upgrading it. Now the mall merchants work together in what's called a business improvement district. Sorry, there's a truck right behind me. With the business improvement district, they work together to keep it looking beautiful and put the seasonal decorations up, lights, and all kinds of things. There's hospitality nights, sidewalk sales, any season of the year. And you might think in February, March, April, nothing's going on, but there is always something going on right here on the Washington Street Mall.